Yeah, hi, it's Robin from Bernina Sewing Centre. Today I'm going to show you how to sew a sequin by the metre on with your sewing machine using invisible thread. So there's a couple of different types of invisible thread we sell. One is the lovely fine Madeira thread, which is wonderful. However, if you iron on this, it would melt. So 9 times out of 10, we actually sew with the Superior Threads monopoly. So if we're going to iron on it, then nothing will melt, our stitches won't melt. However, we don't really iron on sequins, so you can use the Madeira one, it doesn't matter. When you're going to be sewing on the sequins have a right and a wrong way. So if I put them up this way, if I stitch them, my sequins will fall forward. So you want to turn them round very much like a fish scale and have them so they're nice and smooth running down your fingers. So that's the way we're going to sew it. Now I'm just going to clear this and show you what I've done, because when I'm sewing on braids or sequins, I find the best foot Bernina have to make the job easy. And when I'm doing 6mm braids or I'm doing sequins, I find the standard 20 foot is perfect, because what I'm sewing fits between the groove of the open toe of the foot. Now, I've got a 790 Pro, which means I've got a 9mm machine. So the foot that would come with my machine would be the 20C foot, and see how large the opening is? It's too large for what I'm doing today. So I like the smaller 20. So that's what I'm going to use today. And you tell your machine, I'll just pretend I've got that one on. So I want to find foot 20. So the quickest way to do that is to go 0 to 9, 20, and you'll have 3 choices. So you'll have a 20, a 20C and a 20D for dual feed. I'm doing the standard 20, and then it shows you here what I've done. All right, so I'm going to put on the 20 foot. I've got lime green thread on the back because it doesn't matter what you've got on the back. And I'll pop my thread on, doesn't matter which thread you use for this job. This is the thread, the Superior Thread's the one I use most if I'm freehand quilting, because I can iron on my product. There is nothing worse than doing a freehand quilted stocking and then pressing it and all your thread disappears. So it's really important you use the right threads. Now the one thing with invisible thread, it doesn't like the automatic threader because it's so fine that it doesn't hold in there. So the best thing to do is actually just to thread the needle by hand, if you can see it, because it is invisible. And a lot of people don't love using invisible thread, but the trick is, don't put the invisible thread on the bobbin, just use normal thread on the bobbin, you'll have a better result. Now, with these sequins, we want the needle to go in every hole, so we need to lengthen out our stitch length. I'm running out of fabric. So what I'm going to do is, we've got a beautiful laser on the 790 Pro machines, or the 7 series, the 7 Pro machines. So there's a little button here and you push it on, and when you push it on you end up with a laser on your sewing machine. So this is really handy for doing these sort of jobs, because I can position that laser in the hole of the sequin. So what I want to do, use my knee control, and I want to put my laser right in the middle of that hole, like that. And then we want the stitch length, so it's going to jump over into each individual hole and you can't see how you've stitched it on. So if we lengthen this out, I went to 4 the other day, and then one of them I had to go to 4.5. So I'm going to go to 4.10 and then see if it goes in every hole, and if not, I'll lengthen it or shorten it, as the case may be. So what we want to do is we want to stitch. Well, it does need to be longer, interesting. We'll go to there. And I just need to lift it up because I need to get it back in the first hole. So I do a sample one first, just to make sure. Now we're away. So that is, what's this one on today? That is 4.2. They're all different. So if I want to sew a curve, I simply use my knee control to lift my work up, and I do a stitch, and then if I want to curve it back again, so you do one stitch at a time to go around a curve. And then once you're on the straight, away you go again, you can't see it, and then turn it. It's very, very smart. So it's a wonderful way if you're doing costuming, because you can do it all by machine, no more hand stitching, which is very, oops, I need to do one stitch over there. I do love the laser, and I might just pop this one around like this. So you can see how, whoops, just ran over some other ones, how easy it is, just go over top of that one there, to stitch it on by machine. When you're finished, you can go back a stitch, because it'll go exactly in the stitch. And then with this machine, I'm going to use my scissors and just cut it and let the foot lift up before I pull it out. So there you have your sequin stitched on. I'll turn it over to the back. I've got my lime green thread. This one was done in black thread, this one was done in grey thread. But you can see clearly how long the stitching is. And I did forget to reverse it at the front, which I would do. But the invisible thread is amazing. You cannot tell how you stitched it on. You can do lots of sharp points and curves and everything. So it's just a wonderful little handy hint. But the beauty of it is this foot. So it's the number 20 foot, because everything sits perfectly in there, and I use it to sew on all my 6mm braids and ribbons. Anything that needs to fit in that slot makes it easier. So Bernina do bring out a lot of feet, but they all have their specific use. So this is the one I use for doing my sequins. So I hope that's something that you might use in the future. It is wonderful to sew on sequins on Christmas things, because they look so pretty, and they're very, very, very reasonable by the metre, and you can get lots and lots of beautiful colours. So happy sewing, and don't forget this one is the Superior Thread Mono Poly, and that one you can use for all your freehand quilting, and when you iron it, it won't melt. So it's a very, very good thread. So happy Christmas sewing.